"Don't look at his face," the old man whispered. His breath smelled like metal and rain. I didn't listen. I turned my head and saw the man in the black coat standing at the end of our hallway. He was tall and thin, like a shadow drawn with a ruler. His hat hid his eyes. His hands were inside leather gloves even though it was warm. He didn't move. He didn't speak. But when the lightning flashed through our window, I saw it clearly. His shoes were wet like he had walked out of a river, and around one shoe was a loop of red string. It trailed behind him across our floor, like a line drawing a path straight to my bedroom. "Who are you?" I tried to say, but my voice came out small. He lifted one finger to his covered mouth, as if to say, "Sure." Then the power went out. Something cold touched my shoulder. And before I could scream, the front door swung open by itself. The mysterious man turned his head toward the door, as if he heard someone outside, and took one slow step forward. That's when the old man yanked me by the wrist, pulled me into the bathroom, and locked the door. "Quiet," he hissed. "He follows noise." My heart banged like a drum in my chest. The sink pipes rattled. The old man put his ear to the door and went very still. We waited 3 long breaths. Tap, tap, tap. Knuckles on the bathroom door. And then a low voice, soft and careful, came through the wood. "Eli," it said. "I know your name." I froze. "My name is Eli. My mom says my name means my God," but right then I felt tiny and weak. I held my breath. The old man shook his head once, telling me not to answer. The voice came again, a little closer to the crack. "Open the door." The old man set one finger to his lips. Then he leaned down to the floor and peered under the door. His eyes widened. He mouthed one word to me, "Run." But where? The window was too small. The room was a box. The doorknob turned. And then, 2 hours earlier, everything was normal. It was a stormy Friday in October. I was at home in Cedar Ridge, a small town with tall maples and a diner that sold the best pancakes. Mom was working the late shift at the hospital. She's a nurse and knows how to tie bandages fast. She told me to lock the doors, do my homework, and feed Muffin, our cat who is fluffy and rude. My big sister, Harper, had gone to a football game with her best friend, Jess. She promised to be home by 10. Our neighbor, Mr. Harlan, was supposed to stop by and check on me, but he didn't. He always forgets because he watches old movies and falls asleep in his chair. The rain started as a whisper and then became a roar. I turned on the porch light and saw the drops falling in bright chains. The wind pushed the trees around like they were dancing and arguing at the same time. It was cozy inside. I had pizza. I had a blanket. I had a math worksheet I didn't want to do. I fed Muffin and pretended not to notice when he stole a piece of pepperoni. At 8:17 p.m., the doorbell rang. I wasn't scared yet. I thought maybe it was a delivery, or maybe Mr. Harlan finally remembered me. I checked the camera on our phone, but the picture was fuzzy with rain and darkness. I could only make out a tall shape and a hat. "Who is it?" I called. No answer. Only the rain. I felt a little strange, like a bubble popped in my stomach. Mom always says, "Don't open the door for strangers." So I didn't. I texted Harper, "Did you forget the key?" No answer. The doorbell rang again. Longer this time. Ding dong. I was about to call Mom when the power blinked, then came back. The TV restarted. The microwave beeped. I grabbed a flashlight from the junk drawer, just in case. The bell rang a 3rd time, and then, soft as a breath, 3 knuckle taps on the wood. Tap, tap, tap. I backed away from the door. Muffin hissed for no reason and puffed his tail like a bottle brush. The rain got louder. I told myself I was being silly. I told myself to be brave. I told myself to wait 5 minutes. After 2 minutes, I went to the kitchen for water. That's when a new sound cut through the storm, a light, hollow thunk on the back door. Like something had bumped it. I walked down the hall. The back door has a small square window with foggy glass. I saw a darker shape on the other side. "Mr. Harlan?" I called. "Is that you?" A face pressed to the glass. Not a whole face. Just the mouth and chin and a bit of a nose. The glass was foggy, but I could see enough. There was a glove at the bottom of the window, tapping. Tap, tap, tap. Slow, polite, patient. My chest went tight. I took one step back and heard something else, a voice behind me, from the hall that leads to the garage. "Don't move," the voice said. "He listens." I spun around. An old man stood there in a grey coat. He was thin and pale, with white stubble and a wet, folded newspaper tucked under his arm. I should have screamed, but his eyes looked tired and kind. He held his hands up, palms out, like he didn't want to scare me. "Who are you?" I whispered. "Name's Walter," he said. "Used to live next door. Your mom helped my Ruth when she fell last year. I came to warn you." His back. "Who?" I asked, even though I thought I already knew. "The man who knocks 3 times. The back door knob turned. Just a little. Just enough to say, I could come in if I wanted. I wanted to run, but my legs felt like wet towels." Walter nodded toward the hallway bathroom. "No windows," he said. "Strong door. Move." We hurried down the hall. The house felt different, like it was wider and taller than before, with too many corners and too many shadows. The air smelled like river water. I flipped the bathroom fan on to cover our sounds, but Walter shook his head and turned it off. "Quiet," he said again. "He follows noise." I stood behind the door while Walter listened. He reached into his coat and pulled out a tiny metal whistle on a string. It was dull and old, like something a referee used a long time ago. He curled his hand around it and didn't blow. "Why are you here?" I whispered. "Because I've seen him," Walter said. "When I was a boy. When my own brother was your age. The man in the black coat finds a house on a storm night. He waits. He knocks 3 times. If you open, he asks for a name. If you say your name, he comes inside. If you stay quiet, he still finds a way. He always finds a way." "That's not possible," I said, but the word didn't feel strong. "Some things don't care if we think they're possible," he said softly. Something brushed the bathroom door. Just a scrape, like a fingertip on paint. Then the 3 slow taps. Tap, tap, tap. I tried to swallow and couldn't. My mouth was too dry. The doorknob trembled. Not much. Just a breath of movement. Walter mouthed, "Don't answer." The voice came next, low and careful. "Eli," it said, right by the crack. "I know your name." My stomach turned to ice. How did he know? I hadn't said it. I hadn't texted it. The only time I had heard my name tonight was when Mom called before her shift. The man spoke again. "I've come to help." Walter's hand squeezed my wrist, gentle and firm. He leaned down and looked under the door. In the thin slice of space, I saw shiny leather. Wet. And the loop of red string. Walter's face changed. The old tired look vanished. He became sharp and focused, like a coach in the last seconds of a game. He pointed at the tiny window high on the bathroom wall, the kind that barely opens. "We squeeze through," he whispered. "You first. Feet on the toilet tank. I'll lift." "I can't," I whispered back. "It's too small." "You can," he said. "You must." The doorknob began to turn. Slowly. Click. The lock held. For now. I stepped onto the toilet. My shoes squeaked. I winced. Walter laced his fingers and boosted me up. I pushed the window. It didn't budge. I pushed harder. It moved a little and then stuck. "Harder," Walter said, his voice still a whisper. I shoved. The window jerked open just enough for my shoulders if I went sideways. Cold rain hit my face. I got one arm through. That's when the bathroom light flickered and died. In the sudden dark, the voice on the other side of the door sounded closer, like it was right next to my ear. "Let me in, Eli," it said. "Your sister already did." "Harper." "No. She was at the game. She couldn't be here. She wouldn't open the door to a stranger. Would she?" "Don't listen," Walter breathed. "It lies." But then, through the rain, I heard a new sound: footsteps on our porch and the soft shake of a key ring. A voice I knew calling, "Eli? You up?" "Harper." She was at the front door. "Go," Walter said. "Get through." The doorknob turned again. And this time, the lock began to slide. The lock was sliding. I shoved my arm through the tiny window. Cold rain hit my face and ran down my sleeve. Walter laced his fingers and pushed at my shoes. "Go, Eli," he whispered. "No matter what you hear, go." From the other side of the bathroom door, the slow voice said, "Good boy." The lock clicked again. I twisted sideways, squeezed my shoulders through the window, and fell into the wet bushes outside. The ground slapped my back and knocked the breath out of me. I rolled to my knees and looked up. The bathroom was a square of darker dark. Walter's hand appeared in the window, palm flat weight. Then I heard Harper at the front porch. Keys rattled. "Eli, you up? Open the..." "Harper," I yelled, sprinting around the side of the house. "Don't open it. Don't say your name." The storm stole my words. Wind pushed the trees like angry hands. Rain hammered the gutters. Water filled my shoes in 1 second. I ran anyway. Our porch light flickered like a bad heartbeat. Harper stood there in her red hoodie, hair soaked, backpack strap on one shoulder, phone glowing in her palm. She was searching for the right key. "Harper," I screamed again. "Stop." She looked up, confused. "Why are you outside? Where's the..." Behind her, through the front window, I saw the hallway. I saw the long runner rug, the muddy paw prints from Muffin, the umbrella stand Mom hates, and at the far end, by the bathroom, a tall shape in a black coat. He was inside the house. I froze. I don't know how he got in. The bathroom door still looked closed. The hall lights were off. But he was there, as clear as a shadow at noon. Hat low. Gloves still wet. The red string dragged along the floor behind him, leaving a thin line on the wood like a marker drawing. He turned his head toward the door. Toward Harper. "Harper," I yelled, my throat burning. "Do not say your name. Don't ask his. Step back." She frowned at me like I'd said the silliest thing. "Eli, what are you?" The porch light went black. And somewhere in the house, deep and careful, 3 soft taps answered the storm. Tap, tap, tap. Harper's hand hovered over the deadbolt. Her phone screen threw a tiny square of light on her face. She was brave. She was stubborn. She was about to do the normal thing: unlock, step into our normal hall, call my normal name. I reached the steps, slipped, and slammed my shin. Pain shot up my leg. I grabbed the rail and pulled myself up. "Back away," I gasped. "Please." Her phone buzzed. A text from Mom lit her cheek with blue. For a heartbeat, everything felt regular again. The porch, the smell of wet leaves, my sister's annoyed face. For a heartbeat, I almost forgot the man at the end of the hall. Then, from the bathroom window behind the house, a single high note cut the storm. A whistle. Not loud. Not long. Just enough to make every hair on my arms stand up. Walter. The sound was strange, like a bird inside a bottle. It sliced through the rain and made the man in the hall shift, just a tiny bit, like a compass turning. He moved one shoe. The red string slid. And I knew it the way you know the stove is hot without touching it. The whistle had pulled him. He follows noise. I took that one chance. I launched at Harper and yanked her off the porch, down into the wet grass. "Eli," she snapped, more shocked than mad. "What?" "Don't say names," I panted. "No names. Not mine. Not yours." "Is this a joke?" she said, but she whispered anyway. The front door knob twitched. Just a tremble. Just enough to show it could. We crouched in the dark by the hydrangeas. The porch felt so close and so far, like a stage with the curtains down. Harper's hoodie dripped cold water onto my arm. She looked past me toward the living room window. "I saw someone," she said softly. "A tall guy." "I know," I said. "He's in the hall." "How?" she asked. I shook my head. He knocked. He knew my name. Walter found me. "Who's Walter?" "The old neighbor." "Grey coat." The whistle. Harper squinted toward the side of the house, where the bathroom window was a dark square again. The whistle hadn't sounded a second time. The rain filled everything. "Okay," she said, voice steadier now. She put her phone on silent and slid it into her pocket. "What do we do?" We moved low along the side wall to the garage. I punched the code. The keypad beeped and failed. The power was out again. We ducked under the door and felt around until my hand found Mom's emergency flashlight in the corner. I clicked it on, then cupped the beam with my fingers so it was only a little light. The garage felt safer and not safe at all. Boxes. Bikes. The smell of oil and old cardboard. The door to the house stood there, regular and terrible. I reached for a broom, then grabbed the long metal ice scraper instead. It felt heavier. It felt like a plan. Harper picked up Dad's toolbox, set it down, and chose a pair of rusty garden shears. "No names," she mouthed again, like a promise. I cracked the house door open an inch. The hall was a tunnel of dark. Water dripped somewhere. The red string lay on the floorboards like a thin vein, leading from the front door toward the bathroom. I had a dumb idea. I reached the shears out through the crack and closed them on the string. The hallway got colder. The metal bit down. The string felt slick, like seaweed. Not tight. Not hard. But somehow strong. I squeezed harder. The shears clicked. For a second, I thought nothing happened. Then the string snapped. At once the house sighed, like the walls had been holding their breath. A cold wind rushed down the hall and hit my face. My flashlight flickered and cleared. In the place where the string had been, a dark wet stain spread along the floor, as if water had leaked up through the wood. "How is that possible?" Harper whispered. I didn't know. I just knew we had broken something he wanted unbroken. A shadow at the end of the hall shifted. I shut the door and held the handle with both hands. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it moved my shirt. No footsteps. No knocking. Only the rain and our breath. "Basement," Harper whispered. "Window wells. We can get to Mr. Harlan's." We edged along the garage wall, past the bikes, to the basement door. I opened it slow. The stairs were black teeth. We went down together, the little cone of my flashlight showing each step one by one. Halfway down, the beam slid across a shelf and caught a photograph in a cracked frame. It was old and grey. Two boys stood in front of a different house. One boy held a whistle on a string. The other wore a red piece of yarn around his wrist and looked like he had not slept in a week. Harper lifted the frame closer. On the back, in blocky pencil, were 4 words. "Walter and my brother." Under that, lighter, like someone wrote it long after, in a different hand. "He always finds a way." I swallowed. "Walter was the boy," I said. "He told me. He tried to warn us." The basement window wells were narrow and muddy. We could squeeze out. We could reach Mr. Harlan's back porch in 4 jumps if we didn't fall. We could get to people, to lights, to voices that filled the night with something normal. Above us, the ceiling creaked, just once. I aimed the flashlight at the stairs. A wet footprint appeared on the top step. Another on the next. They walked down toward us, step by step, but there was no one to make them. Just the prints, shiny and new, filling themselves as if poured from the air. The red string laid itself along the handrail, inch by inch, like a snake exploring. Harper gripped my arm so hard I felt it in my bones. "We need to move," she breathed. We climbed into the window well. Mud squished. My knees slipped. Harper pushed me up by my shoes. I hooked an elbow over the rim and pulled. My stomach scraped the cement. The rain hit my face again like 1,000 needles. I wriggled one leg out into the yard. The whistle sounded a second time sharp, close, right behind my ear. I flinched and almost lost my grip. "Walter," I called, without meaning to. The name jumped out of my mouth like a small frightened bird. A gloved hand caught my ankle. Not hard. Not a jerk. Just a hold. Gentle. Certain. Cold. I kicked. The grip tightened. The red string looped up over the rim of the window well like a lazy wave and slid around my shoe. It felt like wet ribbon and strong wire all at once. "Don't say names," Harper hissed, pulling on my shirt. "Don't give him anything." I dug my elbows in and kicked again. My heel connected with something that wasn't there and was, both at once. The hand didn't let go. "Take me," a voice said in the dark behind my knee. Not the girl. It wasn't the low, careful voice from the hall. It was old and tired and kind. "Walter." "No," I cried. "Don't move, boy," Walter said, and then the whistle screamed, a long, hurt sound that didn't end. The grip on my ankle loosened for one heartbeat. Harper yanked. I slid out onto the grass. We rolled away from the house, coughing rain, choking on our breaths, crawling like bugs toward the maple tree. Behind us, through the basement window, something slammed once, hard, like a door that had been waiting years to close. The whistle cut off. The rain felt louder, emptier. We made it to the tree and pressed our backs to the trunk. I looked at the window, praying to see a grey coat, a hand, a sign. The glass was only black. "Eli," Harper whispered. "Where is he?" I shook my head. My throat hurt too much to talk. The front door of our house swung wide. Not like a normal door. Not on hinges. It moved as if pushed by a wave from inside. Water spilled over the threshold, thick and dark, spreading down the steps, carrying the red string with it like a little red river. And standing in the doorway, hat low, coat dripping, was the man. He turned his head toward us, though we were in the dark yard, though the rain should have hidden us, though we were small and shaking and trying so hard to be quiet. He raised one gloved hand. He pointed at Harper. The red string lifted from the water, curled in the air, and slid across the grass like a living thing. It wrapped softly around her ankle and pulled. She slid toward the porch on the wet ground, heels digging useless tracks, fingers clawing at the roots. "Eli," she cried, forgetting our rule, saying my name like a rope. I grabbed her wrists with both hands and leaned back with all my weight. The string tightened. The man in the doorway tilted his head, as if curious how strong we were. The maple tree roots tore under my shoes. We were moving. Toward the open door. Toward the dark hall. Toward the place where the house breathed cold and the red water ran. And then, from the black of the basement window, a third whistle note rose ragged, breaking, brave. The string jerked. The man's hat lifted an inch, and the ground under us slid like ice.